in the occupied Golan Heights, right on the Syrian border. Well, so many countries around the world and across the region are watching what happens next in Syria. G7 countries are having a virtual meeting today to discuss the situation in Syria. Tomorrow, Arab states will meet in the Jordanian Red Sea city of Aqaba to also discuss what's been happening and how they should proceed. Just to get a sense of how the West is looking at these dramatic developments in Syria. We're joined by Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley, a former U.S. diplomat who has served in many posts across this region, now with the Atlantic Council. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, glad to be here, Liz.
As you know, that after Russia intervened in 2015 in Syria, it was Russia, Iran, and Turkey on the side of the rebels who played the pivotal roles in Syria. The Americans largely withdrew, except for keeping 900 troops, which are still there in northeast Syria, trying to fight against Islamic State. How do you sense that the Americans might want to play a role going forward, if they want to play any role at all?
Well, I believe that U.S. leadership is going to be pretty cautious. This is a really difficult balancing act that the international community is doing, being well aware of how urgently assistance, guidance, support, financial and otherwise, will be for a new government forming in Syria after 50 years of the Assad family and the sanctions and the multiple military encounters that they've had, either with rebels coming in from Iraq, with Turkey, as you say, the United States, in part of Syria, and of course, numerous Israeli strikes. And at the same time, the apparent leaders being designated terrorists. And so for the United States, this is a real issue. How to support a good way forward, a solid, positive way forward for the entire Syrian people, and yet be very careful about what this leadership looks like and what they're going to do. So that is it. As the UK Perm Rep mentioned earlier, that there are ways around as far as getting humanitarian assistance in. And of course, in the United States, designating and undesignating terrorist organizations can be a rapid process. So there is room, if indeed the words that have been spoken are followed through with actions. And of course, everyone is watching to see what they do with the chemical weapons that are still in Syria. That will send a very strong signal, positively or negatively. Then the United States could also undesignate fairly rapidly.
And this is taking place, as you know, just weeks before a new administration takes charge. President-elect Donald Trump has made it clear he doesn't want to start any wars in the Middle East. He wants them to end. I noticed how you said that it should be easy to lift the legislation. Do you think the Congress will want to go so quickly when it sees an Islamist-dominated government in Damascus?
Well, indeed, no, I don't think they're going to want to rapidly do it, but there are national security exceptions, et cetera, that are in most legislation. That said, really watching to see what Shara does as leader and what kind of government he puts forward. Syria is not unique, but it has a very rich tapestry of minorities in the country, and this emphasis, as you heard Secretary Blinken say, and others, about the importance of a secular government, one which in a more homogeneous society, the international community might not be insisting on. But for Syria, it is going to be important. And any leader should want to represent and care for all of its citizens. So it should be something that the government, they've said it, if they protect minority rights, women's rights, etc., then they will go some way to getting the assistance and support that they need. But the territorial integrity of Syria is very much in question because there are so many foreign interests and foreign troops on the soil right now. They've got to consolidate their government first, what they're going to do, how they're going to lead, and gain the trust not just of the international community, but of the Syrian people, first and foremost, before they can address these broader issues.
Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley, thank you for outlining some of the many issues which will be on the agenda of Syria's new rulers, who for now only have what they describe as a caretaker government. Thank you very much for joining us.